You're listening to Bring Me the Axe. I'm Brian White. I'm one half of this morbid equation. I'm joined by my co-host and actual brother, Dave White. Hey, Dave, how you doing over there?
Thank you for asking. I am doing reasonably well. I just realized it's George Romero's birthday.
It is. We're recording on George Romero's birthday.
And you and I were just talking about George Romero, and it got me to thinking, what is your least favorite George Romero movie? And is it most definitely The Dark Half?
No. I would probably place. I really hate ragging on these ones because they kind of fall so late in his career, and I don't know. I feel like he was really out of gas at the time. But Survival of the Dead, maybe, or maybe was it Diary of the Dead? Was the one with the camera?
I think so.
One of those. Yeah, one of those.
But way to dunk on an old man at the end of his career, you jerk.
Sorry, George. I love you.
Don't apologize to him. He's dead. He doesn't need it.
I don't want to be haunted by his ghost.
You apologize to the goddamn internet for what you've done.
No, but if I had to pick one that's not one of those, maybe Bruiser.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Knight Rider.
I have not seen that one since the 90s, so I don't really know where I land on that one.
It's probably better that way.
Yeah. What would be your favorite that's not a zombie movie?
The Crazies?
That's a good answer. I mean, technically,
that's kind of a zombie.
But it's not one of the zombie movies. So that's that.
It was either that or Creepshow, but Creepshow has got some real fucking clunkers in it.
I think it's a hit and a miss. Is that one for sure? Mine easily, and it's my favorite Romero movie overall is Martin.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Martin. So, hey, we practically grew up in neighborhood video stores, and the steady diet of utter garbage that those shops provided us with continues unabated to this day. There's no one else I enjoyed chopping it up with more about trashy movies than Dave. Just before we get into it, here's a little housekeeping. If you want to keep up with us between episodes, you can also find us on Instagram at Bring Me the Axe Pod. Dave's over there at That Queerwolf. We're having a really good time. You should follow us. We've also got a real sweet website now at bringmetheaxe.com. You can listen to all our past shows there, read the transcripts. And if you don't know, we have another show called 99 Cent Rental, where we cover all manner of video store madness on the weeks that Bring Me the Axe is off. Our latest episode covering Brian De Palma's 1974 rock opera, Phantom of the Paradise, is out now. And we'll be back next week with a bonus Bring Me the Axe, examining the 1973 vampire movie from Bill Gunn, Ganja and Hess. Now, you can also contact us directly at bringmetheaxepod@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or suggestions. Do let us know if there's a movie that you love and would like to hear us give it the business. And lastly, if you like what you hear, you can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. And we're on YouTube now. Search for us by name and subscribe to us there if you prefer to consume your podcasts that way. And you'd be doing us a favor by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So get to it.
Yeah, do it.
You gotta
do it. And if you're not going to do it for me, do it for yourself.
It's fun.
You've come a long way, baby. You earned it, girl.
and I'd like it a lot. And so would Dave. So yeah. And if you listen on YouTube, do us a favor. Give the episode a like and leave a comment. We love hearing from you guys. So we really do. We're always chatting with y'all on Instagram and shit. You're fun. So we just want to get all that out of the way right at the top of the show. Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Who's this over here?
Well, we have not one, but we have two guests. They are two very funny people. They are the hosts of one of my favorite podcasts, Uy Que Horror. Apologies for the pronunciation. It is Jonny Atkinson and Aileen Clark. Hi. Hi, guys.
Hi. You did beautifully. That was a great horror. Not a lot
I was
of people.
going to try to roll.
Oh, I love the rolled R's. It's I was gonna attempt a little Espanol myself, but
Listen, you just have to go for it. You just have to commit.
I took several years of it in high school. I can barely remember how to speak it, but I do.
Listen, as long as you can say mi nombre es ¿A dónde está el baño? I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Good to go.
Cool. Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us because we have
Actually, before we get into this, we usually just launch right into our dumb bullshit. But before we do, I would like Jonny, Aileen, either or both of you, if you could just say a little bit about your show, because I think we exist in a sea of horror movie podcasts, and I think yours stands out a little bit, at least from my perspective. I think it's kind of unique. And so if you can just describe a little bit how you guys come at what you do.
I'm going to let Aileen take this because it was her idea. And listen, put some respect on her name. Aileen, por favor, please.
Claro que sí. Hello. So, Uy Que Horror is a Latinx horror movie podcast hosted by Jonny and myself, Aileen. We are best friends since high school. Truly have known each other over 2 decades, and it shows. And basically, during the pandemic, Jonny and I and his husband started a little movie club where we just basically were watching movies every day. And I was pretty much a horror baby back then. I wasn't fully delved into it. And we decided to switch off and on with horror movie franchises and action movie franchises. And lots of fun was had. Pandemic was horrible. And as I was watching these horror franchises, I was like, where are all the Latino people?
Yeah.
¿A dónde están los Latinos? And so one day I texted Jonny and I was like, listen, I think we could do a podcast where we just focus on Latin American horror films. And we cover the movies that come from Latin American countries, but also we try and highlight directors, actors. Like, we'll do American films, but that star Latino actors. And basically we just try and bring a spotlight to this underrated little branch in horror, because in international horror you have Asian, Japanese, Korean horror is so good. Italian, you got the giallos and all that stuff. Spain has a great big horror world, and it's like, yeah, but us too, dude. And and the minute we tried to pop open that book, it was like exploding in our face. The amount of content we found was unbelievable. And so I was like, we gotta. And then we did, and we're almost 4 years in now, and we're still going strong. So many movies to cover, and we've learned so much, not only about horror in Latin America and how it's perceived, but also like folklore-based horror, which is so fun to know where these monsters come from and these legends and myths, which is great. A lot of political stuff that we've learned from these countries, which is unbelievable. Literally today,
so it's that's why I wanted you to actually talk about it, because I'm a fan of Latin American horror. But sort of newly, but I'm also a monolingual white American who has almost no context for, the historical part of these things or the cultural context for it. And so I feel like I'm kind of missing stuff sometimes, or I'm not really getting to fully understand where the movie's coming from, or it's not having the full impact that it could. And I think that's the thing that I love. And that's the reason why I brought the whole question up to begin with, is because I think you provide that context in a way that is fun. It makes for a fun listen, but it also, because I usually will then go and try to find some of these movies, I think I understand the movies a little bit better. And that is super interesting. It's super interesting to hear you learn those things, and then it's super interesting to hear them and then go into it that way. And I think that's such a great part of horror podcasting that is really missing from a lot of things, because context is super important, especially with horror.
You guys also, you guys got me to stop avoiding La Llorona, because I had confused the legacy of that with the really unfortunate one that was made. I think it was one of those atomic monster ones. And so I listened to that episode that you guys did about the one in the 30s, and it brought me around to the more recent one, which shook me to the fucking core.
Incredible. Incredible.
So yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons we wanted to do the podcast, aside from the fact that we're like, where's the representation? But, we're Latinos, but we're also learning about all these countries, like we have not lived in all these countries. We did grow up in Latin America, but for us, it was like, this is a good way to learn, not only highlight, but for us to learn, along with, saying just being ridiculous on top of it, because Aileen and I are fucking ridiculous. But, we're having a good time so far. And we really have learned so much.
And that means a lot to hear, Dave, because like, you know, it's fun for Jonny and I to do it, and we are like, oh my God, can you believe this? And I've never heard of that, and whatever the hell.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, sometimes it feels like you're talking out into the atmosphere, so it feels nice to, and like validating. They were like, oh, good, it's not just us that are picking up these things, and like you said, being inexperienced in certain countries' histories and the way that things unfold, sometimes it's hard for us as foreigners to them to pick up the nuances and the different messages that are meant to come through. So we do our best, but also, you know, we try and be lighthearted and make it accessible for everybody, because if it's accessible to us, it's accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
And in honor of that, I asked you here to watch this fucking terrible movie.
I was about to segue that and be like, well, this one's not really Latin American, but
Or good. Movie, I think.
This was a treasure.
Listen, at Uy Que Horror, we have a saying: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because listen, even though we're like, yay, Latin American horror, sometimes we get some fucking clunker bombs, dude.
Yeah, but sometimes you get Don't Panic, and then the whole world is richer for it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So X-Ray was truly, it was tasty. It was a bowl of
Good.
Lucky Charms.
I was so worried that you guys were going to come on the show and be like, what the fuck, you guys?
I mean, definitely what the fuck.
But it's, I mean, bringing up Don't Panic, similar vibes enough.
Yeah.
I was like, this is just like trashy amazingness that I would recommend to anybody and everybody. Like, you should watch. The fact that I had never heard about it, I was like, the world must know.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
I've been evangelizing this one since he turned me onto it, and like I can't really describe it to people. That's in the same way that like we've really been sort of like evangelizing Don't Panic for like the last couple of years,
because it's incredible.
Because it's amazing, but like at the same time, people will be like, okay, so what's it about? And it's like, well, I don't know.
Like, it doesn't matter what it's about.
I don't want to tell you. Just sit down and watch it. And you'll be grateful that I didn't tell you. Just fucking commit, do it.
And then everybody comes back and goes, oh my God, those pajamas.
The pajamas!
All right.
Aileen got me a pair of those dino pajamas for Christmas a couple years ago.
I surely did.
That is very comfortable.
Vinegar Syndrome, who I'm sure you know about, had they released Don't Panic again, and they had like PJs, but I went to to Vinegar Syndrome and they weren't there. And then I went on eBay and I was like, oh shit, here they are. And I had to.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
I've been hunting for them for a while now. I'm still going to keep my eye out, but
check eBay, dude. I'm telling you.
Oh, man.
All right, so let's give everybody a little taste of what's coming. Okay. Jesus Christ, buckle up.
Isn't this the hospital where they had all that trouble last year?
What trouble?
Some patient ran amok or something.
Oh, please. I'll see you in a minute. You think you could get that result for me so I could be on my way and I wouldn't have to hang around?
Oh, absolutely not.
I'm afraid we're going to have to keep you here for a while.
I'm going to be a little bit late.
I need to smoke in this hospital.
Get undressed.
Don't open the door for anybody, okay?
Oh boy.
What is going on here?
Exactly.
Somebody's trying to play a con job. I wonder who it is.
Oh my God, the wig.
I feel perfectly fine.
Oh my God.
Let's get out of here.
Love that shot.
Every moment of this is gold.
I don't want a private room. I want out.
Jumping Christ. You scared the shit out of me.
Everybody in this hospital is going crazy.
Yep.
weirdly romantic music.
It's
Yes.
bizarre music.
This is a romance after all.
Ugh.
It is on Valentine's Day.
It is a Valentine's Day film.
Yeah, that was why it ended up in February, because I was like, why the fuck is it in February? And then I was like, oh my god, it actually does take place around Valentine's. Like, it matters. It has no bearing on anything except maybe at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie that was made by people who really did not understand the assignment. They were just like,
or movies in general, or narrative structure, or talking to people.
And bless them for that, for all of that.
It's true.
All right, so a warning before we get rolling. We're basically going to talk about this movie from beginning to end. Spoilers to follow. Listen, you can watch this one for free on Tubi. I strongly recommend it. You have to search for it very specifically, X-Ray, otherwise it won't show up. It doesn't even show up by its other title, Hospital Massacre. So shall we do some facts?
On the nose.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
I'm excited to hear facts.
There's honestly not much to know about this movie, unfortunately. But the year was 1982. So here's some other movies that came out in 1982. We are back in the Bring Me the X sweet spot because Amityville 2, The Possession, came out that year, which is our very first episode. Go back and listen to it.
Wow.
Okay.
You know, I wouldn't recommend you go back and listen to that one. Maybe start with one that's better than that.
That's our most listened to episode by a considerable margin. It's like,
wow.
Does it have to be that one? Also, 1982, Pieces, which was also one of our very early episodes.
Wow.
Also in 1982, The House on Sorority Row, which is also one of our very early episodes.
It should be said that at this point, my favorite year for horror is 1982.
It really is.
I was going to say, what a powerful year.
Power.
It's
also, Pieces is so close to being, we have not been able to nail down, but apparently there is a connection to Puerto Rico, and we're trying so hard to find a way to get it to be confirmed so we can cover it on the podcast.
We'll dig it up. It must have been like investors from Puerto Rico or something like that.
That's exactly what I think it is. I think that's what it is.
So here's a couple more. We also had The Slayer, which I've never seen. It looks pretty bad. And also Satan's Mistress.
Oh,
never seen that either.
So it's not all hits, but 82 is definitely like the peak.
They're going for it. They're just they're swinging for it. I love that.
So here's a little cast and crew. The director is a man named Boaz Davidson, who he was one of Golan and Globus's regular guys. He worked with them in Tel Aviv, and he came to America to direct their earliest pictures under the Canon label. And he works mostly on comedies and some of their sort of post-break-in dance movies. Salsa.
Excuse me.
Wow.
I think I've heard of salsa.
It is the lambada knockoff.
Actually, it comes out a year before the big lambada schism that kind of broke canon. But like they were they were trying so hard to recapture that break-in magic, and they just never figured it out.
Sure.
Holy shit.
We get it. Break into Electric Boogaloo.
Yep. So he ends up on this one as a last-minute replacement for an unnamed director who was canned when he failed to produce the money he promised to put into the movie's budget, which seems like a really weird requirement.
And to that, I say, listen, y'all, you know who that guy is. They're just not saying his name.
Yeah.
Yes.
Say his name.
Yes, please.
So, do you know his name? Because I don't know his name.
No,
I would love it.
I would love to know who almost did X-Ray. In 2000, he made 3 killer animal movies and 2 more in 2002. But he also, he's a busy dude. He's still working, but he's a producer now. He does a lot of high-profile action movies. Like he produced, executive produced Rambo.
And the Expendables too.
Expendables, and he also works with Isaac Florentine on his like badass, awesome like low budget action movies with like Scott Adkins.
Okay.
He did. They got one called Ninja. That's it's basically a ripoff of Enter the Ninja, but it's way cooler.
Oh, okay.
Great.
Yeah, I recommend.
Now we're talking like new Rambo, right?
Yes. So the one in
wow, okay.
Was it 2008 that came out? Yeah, somewhere around then.
I think
But
I
yeah.
saw that.
Fascinating.
Wow.
Yep.
I did
Weird.
not. I have never seen a Rambo movie in my life.
You are not missing a single thing.
In 1981,
Yeah.
does his damnedest to try and figure out how to make a slasher movie, and we have him to thank for all of this crazy bullshit.
Yeah.
I guess.
Oh, so
Dave hates this.
No, I have to say, I am fascinated by this movie. So I'll back up a little bit. I wanted to watch this movie called Schizoid.
yeah.
That has Klaus Kinski in it. It's not very good, but there was a version like on Tubi or something, and the transfer sucked. I could barely see anything, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go buy this so I can actually watch the goddamn movie." And it came from Vinegar Syndrome. It was a double feature with this was like the other movie, and I was like, "Well, I have two movies now. I may as well watch it." And I put it on to watch it. And I was captivated.
In the middle of it, he's like texting me, like, I'm watching this movie called X-Ray, and I don't know how to describe this. And I was watching Deathstalker at the same time. And which also
we have good taste.
We love the best.
I love it.
You do.
In the last episode we recorded, we're talking about fucking Jean-Luc Godard and like Federico Fellini and shit. And now here we are talking about Deathstalker. But
Rose Davidson.
but yeah, and at the same time, and Barbi Benton's is in that one also. And so I was like, and that movie is super short. It's like not even 80 minutes long. And I was like, okay, what should I watch? He's like, you got to watch this movie, X-Ray. And I looked it up, I put it on, and I was about 20 minutes in when I just went to Vinegar Syndrome and ordered it. Yeah. And then,
amazing.
And then the very next day, not even 24 hours later, we both watched it again.
Yeah.
So,
incredible.
I had to show it to more people because I was just stunned by how fucking bizarre it is. I'm like, who made this? Did people make this movie? And yes, the guy who wrote the Beatles movie, Help, wrote this movie.
Yep.
What?
Yes. So
Stop right now.
Yeah, the writer is a guy named Mark Beam, who he's an American, but he worked on he basically was working in Europe at the time. And his first feature is one of those weird, like Dr. Mabuse super criminal movies in Germany. And then he kind of goes to England and he does a couple of things. He ends up writing Help for the Beatles. And then he comes back here and he ends up doing Lady Chatterley's Lover at the same time.
Oh, my.
I think he was like a fiction writer, like a novel and short story writer. He seemed like he had much more success there because he wrote the short story that Charade is based on.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like he's written a bunch of shit that you've heard of.
Okay.
But not the movie version of it. He wrote like the story or the book version of it.
Yep.
Sure.
Now this one though, this is a movie he wrote. So I think we can see what he's
movie.
Buddy, he's like, script. I don't know how to do it. Should I put the name and then the line? How do I make a script?
And then you just throw all the pages in the air, you shuffle them back together however they land, and that's your film.
And you did it, buddy.
Yep. So our cast is led by one Barbi Benton. And she is a
star.
She is a woman of many talents. She was central to the Playboy empire of the early 70s.
Yeah, she was Hugh Hefner's girlfriend for like 6 years.
Yeah, and not just that, like he included her on a lot of the sort of brand and editorial decisions of the sort of broader merchandising. Like she was on the TV show with him. She had
how feminist of him.
She played a role in the sort of like those nightclubs that they had. She was involved and and then they break up and she ends up going to Hee Haw for several seasons where she was basically like an actress and a dancer. And then,
she was the Hee Haw honey.
Yeah, and then she became one of
their
she became one of their girl singers. And then
now Hee Haw, sorry, we are foreigners. Hee Haw is
you don't have to be a foreigner to not know
country music SNL, basically.
Yeah.
In the 70s.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Okay. So like comedy skits and shit like that?
Yeah. And it was then their musical guests are listen, Hee Haw is pretty fucking funny if you go back and watch it.
Wow.
It's very 70s.
So she's like a comedy gal then.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that.
It's more like Laughing than Saturday Night Live.
That's
okay.
True. Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'll take it though.
But yeah,
it was when I looked her up, I was like, I'm impressed by this lady. Not only that, starring in this movie, delivering what I thought was a stellar performance.
She nails.
She was like a country singer. She released a bunch of albums too.
Yeah. And she was on the Love Boat.
Amazing. Wow.
The
I mean,
Love Boat.
And Fantasy Island.
And Fantasy Island.
yeah.
Wow,
listen,
the plane,
that's a
the
career.
plane.
Mhm.
Yep.
See, you've got all the cultural touchstones. It's fine.
Only because I watched American television shows that reference those things. I have no
Sure.
idea other than that.
I don't think I've seen an episode of either of those shows.
I have.
Nope.
No clue.
Not one.
Oh.
Nope.
I know the reason I know the Love Boat theme song is because of Sister Act 2.
Sister Act 2.
Yes. And she sings that
The
song.
Love Boat. Yeah, absolutely.
So we've also got nobody else really of much.
Nobody you've ever heard
No,
of.
we've got a guy named Chip Lucia, who, like a lot of folks who end up on Bring Me the Axe, he was a prolific guest star on TV, did several episodes of General Hospital, several dozen episodes of Days of Our Lives, and then
Look, when you need somebody fast, you get somebody from a soap opera.
and he
Yeah.
They deliver every time.
he seems to be
Yes.
having a really fucking good time in this movie.
Yeah, I thought he also nailed in this
Yep.
movie.
You may as
He
well,
is-
I guess.
He is so handsome. And
Mhm.
honestly, like, what a dream to have a career like that. You're just doing Days of Our Lives, and somebody's like, you want to be in our movie? It's going to take us a week or two. Come be in our film.
Because they
Absolutely.
probably made this movie in about 2 weeks. Like it's
yes.
crazy.
5 weeks.
Oh, good God.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a stretch.
Okay.
But this is also, but also that is a good point. This is a really good looking cast. Like Barbi Benton is a
Yeah.
beautiful woman.
They are beautiful
Gorgina.
people,
Oh my
left
God.
and right.
Yeah.
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 And then rounding it out, we got a guy named John Warner Williams who plays Dr. Saxon. He's also a soap guy, kind of, having done only 12 episodes of General Hospital. He has probably the smallest resume out of everybody in this movie, and then he vanishes somewhere in the early 90s.
Mm.
Like
Wow.
most of us.
Yeah.
Yes, I
True.
was gone in the early 90s.
Disappeared in high school doing
Just
nothing.
down a K-hole of memory.
Just G'd out with fucking high school problems.
So here's some taglines for this movie.
None of them are good.
Nope, not a one.
Oh, I love a shitty tagline. Hit
Well,
us.
get ready. There's no recovery room at Hospital Massacre.
I love that.
Doesn't
I
even
love
work.
That.
Doesn't even work.
There's no recovery room.
No, not here.
Here's another one. You have nothing to fear until they operate.
That's the one. That's the one I like.
Wow.
Because it is not relevant at all.
Nope.
There
It
is
isn't.
nary
It
an
really isn't.
operation
No,
at
this
all.
was made by poster artists who are just like, it's a horror movie in a
Looked
hospital.
at the picture.
Yep.
Yes.
Here's another one. The movie that will scare the life out of you.
Boo.
Yeah.
Lame.
Now here's one that
Nah.
is pretty accurate. The checkup that became a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
this bitch, she's just showing up to get test results, everybody. Just
Oh my
keep that
God.
in mind.
All right, and here's
Truly shocking.
here's the very last one. It's no secret that some hospitals are not safe.
Now, that one I feel is accurate.
That is, there's
Yes.
a hospital right near me. It's pretty well documented.
Because listen,
Yeah.
is this movie good? No. Is this an accurate representation of the American healthcare system?
I
yeah.
literally was gonna say
Absolutely.
that. I said this film is an indictment of the fucking American healthcare system and how it
Yes.
fails us every single fucking day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Are they going to give me my prescription? No.
Absolutely. See that tagline like on a billboard next to a lawyer who's like, call me and I will help you.
Mhm.
Yep. So that last tagline appeared on an ad from the trade papers, which bore the headline: "The Cannon Group presents box office gold for 1982."
Okay, subjective.
Sure.
Was
Not really.
No.
Not really.
I guess we can lie on our taglines then.
Oh yeah,
No,
when you
because
go to Variety, you can say anything.
Sure.
Because I could not find a single review from this movie at all, not a single one. And I conduct research for a living, and I have tons of resources at my disposal. I could not find a single fucking thing for this
Wow.
movie.
Wow.
What I did find, however, was Boaz Davidson. He directed a movie called The Last American Virgin,
Oh,
which
God.
is not a good movie, and it's extremely dark.
It's one of it's one of the darkest movies I've ever seen. It's a remake of an Israeli movie that he also directed for Golan and Globus called Lemon Popsicle, and it is essentially men's
Very
rights.
sexy.
Men's rights, the movie. Like that's
Ugh.
yeah.
Ugh.
It's fucking horrifying.
So they toned it down for Americans, but not much. I saw it when I was I was a teenager probably. But so the thing I found about that movie, and this is from the Morning Call, which I think is a New York paper. Maybe it was. It says, normal adolescent sexual tension might in itself provide the basis for very funny situations. But writer-director Boaz Davidson can't quite make up his mind if he wants to be a libertine Truffaut or a teeny bopper porno king. And I say, why not be both?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what you
Don't tell
must
him he can't
do.
be both.
Yeah. Strive for it all.
Make that paper, Boaz.
That movie is super, super sleazy. So is this one.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So here's
yes.
a fact that should surprise no one. Cannon wanted a piece of that sweet, sweet slasher movie money, and they rushed this into production.
No.
Mm-hmm.
I know. The movie was originally released as Hospital Massacre. It's not really clear when it was retitled or for what market. The Vinegar Syndrome release is titled X-Ray. That's how we came to know it. It was also known as Be My Valentine or Else.
Which is the dumbest title I've ever heard.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, it makes you think, like, were they going for, a Halloween My Bloody Valentine style kind of movie,
Yeah,
yes, that is what they were shooting for.
It's very clear that somebody was like, okay, so we're going to do this slasher movie thing. It's the hotness. All them kids love it. So it's got to have a mask. It's got to have a whodunit element for some fucking reason. And then it's got to have a holiday because every slasher movie has a holiday.
Yes.
Which is a bit of a fallacy, but I get it. The popular ones did.
And man, did they phone it in with this.
But that's kind of common for a lot of these canon movies where it's very clear that they were very savvy. They knew how to exploit trends, but they had a weird misunderstanding of just about everything that they ever made. But somehow everything was like up to a certain point. These guys were making bank like crazy. And every single movie is like has this really unique canon like just quality that is completely divorced from any recognizable reality. Like people are sort of like talking to one another, but there's like everybody behaves very strangely. It looks like the world but it's like it's almost like a David Lynch
Uncanny
movie.
Valley, the movie.
1,000%.
All right.
But I think some of that is it's cultural difference. I think in this case because all these three dudes. So Golem and Glowis are coming from Israel, so is Boaz Davidson, and it has this vibe of like, no, I get it. Let's just go with it. And it's like, I'm not sure you do get it, but okay, sure, why not?
There is. I find like there is charm in just like this wooden acting in this film, and like just the way the delivery.
Yes.
Or the lines are delivered throughout the film, but like it's that 80s shit. 70s, honestly, 80s shit that I'm just like, I love this. You want them to be acting terribly.
Yeah. I love watching American culture through other lenses, like Italians when they would try to make movies, or even in like if you watch some like late 80s Mexican movies, it's the same thing where they're trying to make a movie for an American market to break into an American market. So they're like, here's American movie, and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not.
Absolutely.
I love seeing it. Yes. Where they're just like, we went on this beautiful breakfast date. It's like, no, you did everything but eat breakfast. You wore a sombrero. You went in a boat. You ate melted ice cream.
We're going to go to a jet set party. There's going to be a big rock concert.
Oh my God.
At my jet set party.
Oh my God. The best. I'm so glad you guys know what that is. That's
incredible. We're big fans of Ruben Galindo.
Yeah.
What a king.
Yeah, but I mean, even like some of the like later Italian stuff, like Bruno Mattei, his movies were always tuned very much for the North American market, and so they look like they were made on like $10, and they're supposed to appeal to like an American market, but like it's sort of like watching somebody from Mars try to kind of figure out what Americans are doing. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, because they never bother to like pay someone to do like pay an American to do punch up on the script. So you end up with like this thing that's like, let's go to the Jet Set party to the rock concert, and you're like, what are you saying?
Yeah, Bruno Mattei did not have consultant budget. But,
totally.
Yeah. Hey,
now you guys know how we feel when Latinos are in American films, and it's just a horrible representation of us. See? Now we're all equal because everybody's
offended.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, hey, how about we get into this?
Yes.
The time has come.
All right. So we open on Susan's house, 1961. That's what the card says.
I literally just said, "Who's Susan? Who the fuck is Susan?"
Yep.
Never heard of her.
God.
No, we're gonna get to know her and her fucking Kafka-esque ordeal of this movie.
Oh my
god!
Now these are the kids from. Have you ever seen Bloody Birthday?
Yes, they're both in Bloody Birthday.
They must have shot it at the same time because these are the same kids.
Yes. Yep.
I've only
for
seen.
real? Wow.
I've only seen the Dead Meat episode on YouTube on it, and immediately I recognized her. I was like, "Hey, you're from the My Bloody Birthday or whatever it's fucking called."
Wow.
It's a terrible movie, but yeah, they're the same kids. They must have shot the same time.
It was made like right back to back with this. Canon's production schedule was like that, where it was just like movies stacked straight to the end, and so they would just go one by one by one by one. And if it meant that they could save money, like they did that.
It's the old Roger Corman AIP approach to filmmaking.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did, and they even right down to the fact that like they would get budget for one movie and then like split it up and make three.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah. Eventually that catches up with them and breaks them once they get the Superman IP. But yeah. Susan and her brother excitedly play with a model train. And
I think you're underselling it because they are ecstatic about these trains.
God.
That kid is having a goddamn seizure over this train.
And she wants it to go faster and faster and faster. Yeah.
Just like a woman, am I right?
Hey. Yep.
Not always.
It's Valentine's Day, judging by the decorations around the house. Now, all is well.
Oh my God.
That is, except for the sinister young boy watching them through the window.
What a creep.
Yep. He sneaks up, he leaves a Valentine at the door, and then watches with a wicked expression as she opens it with her brother. And it's very much a I choose you moment.
Yeah.
Where they laugh and then they see that it's from
Now, are kids really like this though? Like privately? Like if they were alone in the house, would you be like, look at this fucking jerk gave me? I'd be like, this makes me a little uncomfortable. Okay.
Yep.
It's kids are dicks.
Yep.
Kids
I hate them.
Kids are fucking dicks, dude. But at this moment, before we're in the middle of this film, I felt bad for this, creep in the window, because I was like, oh, he likes her. He wants to give a Valentine. And I mean, it feels sweet. And then suddenly he's
menacing at the window. You're like, you were expecting this. You wanted this, Harold.
That's the part that makes me like not feel bad for him, is because his look is just like evil and sinister and wicked.
Yeah.
They laugh. They see that it's from Harold, and they throw the crumpled Valentine on the floor, which angers him. So Susan goes into the kitchen and she takes a huge knife out of the drawer and then
this fucking knife
this
cut
fucking
into
shot.
a whole ass cake.
He brought a machete down onto this cake. I'm going to take a big ass piece of this cake.
This is a saber, the likes of which you see in like an Indiana Jones movie or like a Brazilian steakhouse.
That is a weapon.
It's a sword. She's coming down.
It's very much like a Hassan Chop moment.
Yeah,
totally.
Oh my God.
And so she sneaks up ever so wickedly and uses it to attack the cake. There's a commotion out in the other room. When she emerges with a couple of slices of cake, she finds David hung up on a coat rack. And it's unclear how this killed him, but here we are.
Or how he got there, or what is happening at all. And guess what, everybody? You're going to ask yourself that question every 3 minutes in this movie.
That's very true.
A question about this death. Was there like a coat hanger poking into his throat, or was he just kind of hung up on it?
I think that's what we're supposed to
He was
assume.
impaled.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
this is a child. He is like 9?
Oh, I'm fine with that. I do you know what I don't like to see? I don't like seeing animal deaths in movies, but people are like,
Never.
oh, a child dies, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
Oh
I
my
didn't
God.
like them to begin with.
Agreed about the animals. I'm like, the moment that happens, I'm like, no, it's over. You've lost me. I hate this.
Yeah, yeah. Save the dogs.
She turns and she sees Harold there at the window looking evil.
Yeah, all but wringing his hands.
Oh, I know, and cackling.
Truly.
Twisting a mustache.
Like Mr. Burns at the window.
Totally. Excellent.
The kid told it.
So now we flash forward 19 years later as Susan is greeted outside of work by her daughter and her ex-husband, who is just one of this movie's many hyper-intense weirdos.
Oh my God.
Yep. These two don't get along.
Everybody comes into this movie at a 10.
Yeah.
There's
Absolutely.
nowhere else to go.
Yeah, no, it's like
down.
they were acting like normal people, like in their initial takes, and then Boaz Davidson is like, no, crank it up.
Yeah, do it like Americans.
More.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So these two don't get along, which is all you need to really take away from this exchange. And while they're beefing, her new boyfriend shows up to pick her up. She has to go to the...
Because Tom's like, hey, it's okay that I dropped her off early. And she's like, no, Tom, I have to get my test results. Can't you get anything right? And I'm like, God, fuck the both of you.
Wow. With
this
the
poor little
child
girl.
in tow. Yeah. In front of the kid. In front of the kid.
Just being like, mother, father.
I know, that girl is going to have no less than like 11 stays in rehab.
And then he walks away.
Absolutely.
He walks away and she goes, what an asshole.
Oh my gosh. I must say though, like the moment we see Susan, she was instantly iconic to me.
Mm-hmm.
Her hair is awesome.
Her hair.
Her hair is so beautiful throughout this film until the end when she's, spoiler alert, running around for her life. But also, she literally says a line here where she's like, cut it out, Bob. And I was like, iconic. I'm obsessed with you.
No,
Knock
she
it
looks
off,
like
Bob.
she just walked off the set of Columbo. She is every inch the 80s queen that we all expect to her.
She has a sparkling, like shining quality too. It's crazy.
Her eyes are like green, but for me, the thing that I could not take my eyes off were the cream pumps. Cream pumps. I was like, this is fucking amazing.
Oh
Loved
my God,
those
I'm
cream
you.
pumps.
Yeah.
Oh, she's iconic. I'm obsessed with her.
So the reason that there's this beef, there's a static now, is because she has to go to the hospital, you see, to pick up some test results.
Oh dear.
Yep.
Just again, everybody, keep that in mind because she's just here to pick up test results.
Yes.
This should take 5 minutes.
So at the hospital, we learned from Mr. Boyfriend that they had some trouble there last year when a patient ran amok or something. Now, according to Susan, this will only take a couple of minutes. She has no idea how wrong she could possibly
No,
be.
she says, I'll see you in a minute. And I said, no, you won't, Susan. No, you won't.
No.
She might as well have said, I'll be right back.
I literally
Might
was
as well
going to
have
say
said
that, Johnny. Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep. So now at reception, which is all decorated for Valentine's Day, to remind you that this is one of those holiday slasher movies that the kids all seem to like. While she does this, she's eyed by a janitor who menacingly drums his fingers on a nearby cabinet while staring at her.
Because he is one of many menacing men in this movie. Every man in this movie is just like, I am here to either save you or rape you or both.
He's all the guys are like a cross between a cartoon character who sees like the really hot lady and like their eyes bug out and then their hearts but also they look like one of those guys who's like shipwrecked on an island and their friend looks like a chicken drumstick. It's like a cross between that. You can't. They're all salivating like dogs. It's fucking nuts.
Yes,
it's so crazy.
It's that, but if like the guy on the island also wanted to savagely tear apart the chicken drumstick.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So
I am actually obsessed with this janitor's outfit, though. His little bow tie outfit. I was like, I would absolutely wear this tomorrow as I walk down the street. And also, to quote Randy Meeks in Scream, everybody's a suspect, or everyone's a suspect in this film. Every single person, they're like, we're gonna throw this in here. This might be the killer.
Yep.
Red herrings, every one of them.
Which is crazy because
this is like
Yeah, well,
It's the
actually,
whodunit.
I'll save it because the whodunit quality of this movie is completely pointless. So, as she walks away,
Also, because we know who it is, like from the very
from the
beginning.
moment that the movie starts,
I beg to differ because
no.
I was talking to Johnny yesterday and I was like, I'll tell ya, I didn't know who it was until the very end. I was shocked by the reveal.
Wow.
I mean, I
turned
knew
to Aileen
that
and I was like, me too.
So,
job well done, Boaz.
Obviously, we knew it was going to be Harold again, but I was like, which one of these thousands of options that we have is Harold grown up?
Yeah.
And I genuinely was like, who?
And then you missed the part where the doctor introduces himself as Harold.
Oh, absolutely, I missed it.
Very much so.
I was sucked in by those baby blue eyes. I was like,
oh, yes. That tan skin. I was like, excuse me.
Doctor? My goodness.
Listen, they're overselling it. He had real beady eyes.
Was
he the hottest one in the group? He was the hottest one in the group, but still very beady.
Yes.
So now, as she walks away, he pensively folds his hands over the mop handle, just staring off into space. Yep. So now, in the elevator, she mistakenly presses the button for the 9th floor when she needs to go to the 8th floor. And the camera pans to her left to show us that she's riding with a dude who has something red smeared on his mouth like blood.
Oh my God.
It's also dripping on her foot. But as it would happen, it's just some drunk dude in the elevator with her who appears to have used an entire bottle of ketchup on the sandwich that he's eating.
Holy fuck. I was like, excuse me, sir? Are you all right? Because that is not a sane amount of ketchup. It's coming out of the burger, cascading out of it. I was like,
my question is, who is in charge here? Why is this man just walking around eating a giant sloppy hamburger?
Why is he drunk? Like, who?
And why is he wearing a tie?
What is happening right now?
Truly. Yep. And not to bring it back to the pumps, but you've ruined my cream pumps.
Yeah, she wipes it off later, but I was like, no, bitch, that's not going to do it.
No.
That's ketchup. Not. That's acid.
You got to get in there with a toothbrush. No. So now, up on the 9th floor, we get some first-person POV where a gloved hand lovingly strokes a photo of young Susan.
And my God, this is the foggiest hospital I've ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah. So back in the elevator,
very difficult.
The door opens, and Susan is accosted by 3 weirdos in gas masks. See,
why? Fuck? Who knows?
Oh, see what this movie quickly turns into like Dante's Inferno almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like it is a trip through hell. So they're fumigating the floor, and she'd better beat it, or she'll be deloused. Yep. So
you know that those actors are basically they just threw the guys who play the doctors into masks, and were like, "Could you just like stand here in the elevator for a moment and just?"
It's that, or it was like
we're not going to see your face.
Right, or it was like the craft services guys.
Yeah, I was going to say those are the craft services people.
So,
yes,
totally.
Absolutely.
No. So now up on the 9th floor, someone named Dr. Jacobs finds the place foggy and lit like a Corman horror movie. And for some reason,
and also why do they keep is this the floor where they keep all of their gag jokes? Like what is the
why are there mannequins?
Yeah.
Mannequins.
Yeah, it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them.
Too many.
You'd think it was like a department store or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the prop work in this movie as we go along, I took so many notes of like, why is this weird object in this room? They were like, whoever said, "Oh yes, I'm the prop master of this film. We will be in a hospital, of course. Mannequins, that's what we'll need.
Cans of tomato soup. I'm on it.
Yep.
Yes, a laboratory kit, that as well. Thank you."
Yeah.
Now, for some reason, Dr. Jacobs continues deeper into the 9th floor.
Now, which one is Dr. Is she the one with the beautiful Billie Jean King haircut?
Yes.
The blonde,
that's her.
Blonde haircut.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was like, this poor lesbian is about to die in this
poor thing. But also, Dr. Jacobs should have known better. What are we doing up here?
Yeah.
What are we doing
up here? If I were on an elevator and it opened, the door opened to that, I'd be like, no, this is not the right floor.
Let's go.
Yeah. This is never the right floor.
Yeah.
Truly.
Absolutely.
So now she's in a room where she finds what appears to be a dead body on a stretcher. but it's only a mannequin. And also
Shocker.
the soundtrack in this scene, the soundtrack in this movie is fucking crazy because this movie had like a composer and shit, but it all sounds like.
And he's a decent composer. His name is Arlan Ober.
Yeah.
And he did a bunch of shit for Canon, but he also did Eating Raoul, which is a Paul Bartel movie. He did all the Robotech scoring for like going all the way back to the original, well, not the Japanese one, but the
imported stuff,
the American stuff going forward. Wow. He's done it all.
Yeah, he worked on Child's Play.
Oh shit! I actually found the score here kind of frightening. I'm not gonna lie, because there were weird like voices in the back,
the
like
chanting.
It is a straight rip-off of The Omen. Like, it is just like, what's the scariest thing? It's Rosemary's Baby and The Omen. Great. Can you mash those together?
Yes, but I had to pause because I was just like, where are these coming from?
They very clearly ripped off Harry Manfredini, too. There's a lot of that, like, spring sweep stuff that he does in Friday the 13th. It's but it's weird because it's like it's a soundtrack from another movie almost entirely. It's crazy.
Yeah, The Omen.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell what they were saying, but it was either he sees her or in season.
Okay, I went with both and I sang both throughout the film, and I think he sees her is the one that they're going with. I think that's the one they're shooting.
I gotta check that out because I kept trying to like make it out too, and I'm like, is it Latin? Is it? No.
It's either he sees her in season. I was like, I don't know.
That's actually our new theme song.
Yeah. So she's about to leave when she's suddenly attacked by a man in surgical scrubs. He stabs her repeatedly, and she appears to explode just all over him.
Just buckets of blood into her face.
I thought this was look. Eileen and I have said this so many times on the pod. Stabbing, no, I hate it. Please,
it's the worst.
No, and I was horrible. Like, I can't. I felt for poor Dr. Jacobs and her terrible haircut. Poor Dr.
Jacobs.
This is brutal.
Except she just explodes outward as though like a chest ripper from Alien, just right up.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah. So with Dr. Jacobs dead, the lever is pulled again and the elevator springs back to life, dropping Susan on the 8th floor. Now elsewhere, our killer swaps out Susan's medical records with someone else's. The folder says, patient suffers from chronic pain. Head.
Yep. Now this will become so much more elaborate as time goes by, because you think she has the goddamn plague by halfway through this movie.
The way that the doctors all like look at each other and then like look at her, I'm like, please just explain it. What does the fucking chart say?
Somebody tell me what I have. Fuck! I was so mad.
No, and if you keep asking, we're gonna have to operate.
Yes.
On what?
On who?
Doesn't matter.
Nope. So
she doesn't.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Barbie's smoking in the hospital.
Just
in the 80s.
Yep. So meanwhile, up on 9, the creepy janitor finds what appears to be a bloody crime scene where Dr. Jacobs has just been murdered, but it's just a spilled can of paint.
Oh, I thought it was tomato sauce because I was like, why is there tomato sauce? Look, it's not that unreasonable.
It could have been. It could have been.
No, we're gonna call this movie Misdirect the Motion Picture. It's just one false start after another.
And then meanwhile, the janitor's got his cart and he's just fucking banging through the hallway, knocking into everything. He does not give a shit.
No.
Not one shit.
He's not on the 9th floor.
No, it's not paid enough.
Of course not.
So when he finds
it's too foggy to see anything up there. Not his fault.
When he finds Dr. Jacobs' body stuffed upside down in a nearby locker, he freaks out and is attacked by our mysterious killer. The killer stuffs his head in a tub of acid, maybe? Or it could be liquid nitrogen. I paused it on his face. Couldn't tell what happened to him.
It is acid because the guy, the effects guy on the special features goes out of his way to explain how they did this. And I was kind of like, dude, nobody really cares.
All I know is that it's gross.
It looked like googly eyes.
It looked like marshmallows to me. It was gross.
That's what I thought it was too.
Yeah.
To me, it looked like they put a bunch of googly eyes all over his face. And I was like, is this everything everywhere all at once? Because his fucking face is covered in googly eyes.
It may as well be, because I don't think anybody in this movie or associated with this movie has seen a movie before.
No.
Yeah. So I don't know, whatever. The murder appears to be a real bummer for our killer, who thrashes angrily against the wall after killing this guy.
He does, but you know what? Ultimately, he, like the rest of us, is happy that the janitor is dead.
Yeah.
Like, he's real conflicted about this, and it's like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yep.
you're a psychopath. Like,
Yeah. So well, we're supposed to know he's crazy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he just killed 2 people sort of clues
That's
me
enough.
in. But
Yeah.
We've got it.
Yep. So meanwhile, Susan calls her ex, who menacingly stabs an orange with a knife. But here's the
back at home.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Holy shit.
Of the many people this movie wants us to think of as potential killers, this dude is a million
It's
miles
this
away.
husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is with the
But he
intensity?
definitely can't be the killer.
Yeah.
And if I was that little girl, I would leave the house because something's wrong with Daddy.
If I turned around and I looked at my dad and he was cutting an orange with that particular knife, I'd
with
be
a
like,
military knife.
Yeah, you would think
I'd be-
he looks all haunted, like a Nam vet or something like that.
Yeah.
and the way
He
he's
does.
like, maybe there's someone I don't want to talk to. I was like, Dad, are
Oh,
you
boy.
okay? You need
Call
to go
the
to
authorities.
therapy. CPS, it's me. I need to be picked up, please.
Yeah, he doesn't answer the phone, by the way.
And but the little girl does not seem phased by this in the slightest. She's just
Yeah,
like,
she's like,
sorry,
"Oh, Dad."
Mom.
You know what? It gives me the impression that
Fine.
like this is just trauma response, because like this is her life with this guy.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just another day with Dad, stabbing an orange right in front of me.
For me, the craziest thing about this was the fact that he stabs the orange, he gives it a good twist, and it's literally just dripping onto his shirt. I was
Oh,
like, this
God.
drives me absolutely insane.
I also got kind of hung up on that. I'm like, God, his hands must be so sticky.
Oh my God,
Ugh.
it's all over you. It's not coming out. It smells delightful and fresh, but it's going to just smell like that forever.
Yeah.
But you know
Yeah.
what? This begs the question, what does crazy look like in Israel? Is it this?
Wow.
Maybe oranges is some kind of like there's some message behind it.
It's an IDF
I
code.
leave you. Yeah. Oh, no.
I'm gonna cut that out. That's terrible.
No, don't.
Keep it.
All right.
I will not kowtow to the internet.
So now there's a doctor in scrubs standing way too close to Susan while she's on
This-
the phone.
So this is Boaz Davidson, but also this feels like a Key and Peele skit.
He does.
He just fucking
Oh.
creeps. He just appears behind her like a phantom.
I
Wow.
All cartoons plural.
yes. I literally wrote, this is where I was like, it finally kicked in my body. I was like, why is everyone a creep in this hospital?
Yeah.
Why is
Oh.
everybody menacing? in
Because
this
also
movie?
behind them, there's a person who appears to be wrapped head to toe in bandages, like laying face down on a stretcher while somebody comforts them. They got like a little bit of blood on the bandage. And if you pay attention,
Ew.
this movie has a lot of crazy bullshit happening in the margins.
Yes.
Yes.
Background people are insane.
Yeah, the environmental storytelling in this movie is way better than the actual plot,
yes.
and none of it is ever explained.
It's like, have you ever
Never.
seen?
I
Have you
mean-
ever seen Threads or The Day After?
that is what I said to you earlier
Yeah,
today.
it's like the hospital scenes in those movies where there's just like horribly hurt people just milling
Everybody
around
just
like
wandered
zombies.
in from the wasteland to be in this movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So I think what he's doing here, I think this is kind of a nod to the William Castle scene in Rosemary's Baby, where he's standing outside the phone booth.
Oh well, no. You know what this is? This is just him. He thinks he's making a Hitchcock movie, and this is him
That's what
doing
I
a
mean.
hit.
It's like, I think this is
Oh.
sort of his
This is
cameo.
his
in this.
Hitchcock cameo.
Mhm.
But he
Sure.
just he just reads like a comedy like skit. Like, what is this?
That's got to be part of it too, because like a lot of
because
the quality.
he's looking at her like he wants to hit her.
Yeah, because the quality of his comedies is zany. Like he doesn't do like it's goofy, like pie in the face,
Slapsticky.
seltzer bottles and shit, like people slipping on
Yeah.
banana peels.
I watched an interview with him today, and he essentially is he gives off this impression. He says more or less like, I have made nothing but comedies until this point. I had never made a horror movie. He was like, but I like horror movies. I just had never made one. But I had always
Mhm.
made comedies. And he said when the movie premiered at Cannes, let that sink in for a minute.
What?
When the movie
Oh yeah. Cannes, weird, crazy crap. Like there's more bullshit that plays at Cannes than good stuff.
So he's saying that he's they win the Palme d'Or at Cannes, and they don't. I'm kidding.
Can you imagine?
For a brief moment, I was like, Aileen, did you hear that correctly?
But the joke felt so flat that I felt like I had to correct it a little bit. I was just so everybody knows.
Well, no,
that's
because
really what
for a
happened.
moment I was like, maybe.
No,
You never know.
So he says that some guy came up to him, like someone he knew, and was just like, "Oh, hey, I just saw your movie. So funny. You were killing it every time." And he was just like, "What do you mean it was funny? It was a horror movie." And I think the problem is that he's so comedy focused that even when he does a horror movie, he can't quite shake that, like, how to make another kind of movie. He just knows how to make this one type of movie because there is something very, very funny about this movie. And I think it is in the timing of everything. Like, he just glides up behind her on the phone, like, "Hello, lady." And it's just kind of like, I don't know why, but I find this funny as hell.
It's just in his bones. That's his. He can't shake it.
Yep.
I mean, he has
for some reason. For me, this entire scene hasn't completely disappeared from my brain. It has disappeared
it's
entirely.
Very fast.
I'm like,
bizarre.
What is everybody talking about? Because I do not remember this moment.
But you know what? They're so rapid fire that you can't keep them all in there when it's like politics today, where you're like, I can't focus on one horrible thing that's happening because all the horrible things are happening all at once.
It's true.
Yes.
So now, elsewhere, a dude with a walker stalks up to her, spends a good 30 seconds just staring at her. And she walks away to find a room full of dudes hooked up to IVs and oxygen who all struggle to breathe. And we're basically he's taking a tour of hell right now.
Yeah.
And also, at this point, I also, literally, my following note after, why is everyone a creep in this hospital? My next note is, why is everyone a man? Everybody she meets in a span of like 40 minutes is a weird creepo man.
Yep.
And not just that, they're like mangled to shit as well.
Yep.
Yes.
They look like they just got hit by a fucking truck.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now,
and yet they still want to rape her.
Exactly.
So now Susan is then directed to the doctor's lounge to find her doctor by another doctor who then anxiously clutches a surgical cap and mask as she walks away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is this when she has to find her own doctor? And they're like, I don't know. Did you check the doctor's lounge? And I was like, why would she check the doctor's lounge? She doesn't fucking work here.
No, it's like if we were a student and we walked into the teacher's lounge. You just don't do that.
You don't do it as
All
much as you want to.
She just wants her test results.
Yeah. So in the lounge, Susan meets the only normal doctor in the hospital, Harold. He's going to help her find the doctor. Out in the hall, they're passed by a dude on a stretcher doing the Jacob's Ladder shaky head thing on their way to Dr. Jacob's office.
Did you also... You go, Johnny.
Go. No, did he really say my name is Harold? Did he really say that? And I just
he says his name is Harry.
Yeah, and so she calls him Harry.
I mean, still close enough. Like I should have known, but I cannot believe that I missed that. I cannot.
By that point, I was so upset by the creeps and the men in this hospital that I had forgotten the name of the child in the beginning. So when this person was like, "Hello, I'm Harry," I was like, "Oh, great, a person named Harry." And then
honestly, like, kind of friendly too. Yeah, he's not being that much of a fucking creepy asshole. So you're like,
my note literally says, why is every patient in this hospital a raving lunatic or a mangled hobo?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like, and that's why as soon as you see a friendly, normal person, you're like, oh, thank fucking God.
Exactly.
Not for long, though.
Uh-huh.
When they find her charts, Dr. Harold looks suddenly very concerned.
Well, first he has to read off all the other names violating HIPAA along the way.
Yeah, he has to get another doctor to look at them before they go looking for one. So out in the hall, there's a girl on a bench just doubled over limply.
What the fuck is going on here on this day? I literally said, this person out there is flopped over. Is she okay? Like, what is wrong?
And yet Susan is completely unfazed by all of this. She just lights up a cigarette and just smokes away in the hospital.
I mean, I
The
wonder
80s, man.
what the
Listen.
hallways at like her office must look like. Like, I mean, I imagine if she's this nonplussed by this stuff, there's just people acting crazy at wherever it is that she works.
I mean,
Also,
seems
Barbi
like it.
Benton is not a smoker, and you can so clearly tell
It
by the way she
drove me
stiff-handedly
crazy.
holds
Yeah,
that
if you've
cigarette.
ever been a smoker, you can see it every single
Oh,
time because
absolutely.
it's so
And I was like,
awkward.
Whose choice? Was this Barbie's choice? Was this Boaz's choice? Who told her she needs
I'm
to
going to go
smoke
with
these
Boaz
cigarettes?
on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I'm
like,
gonna
he needs
agree.
it. But she, like, this woman smokes. She is a fucking chain smoker in this film.
She really does. She gives Dan Haggerty a run for his money in Elves, where there's a cigarette in his hand in every scene.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, it has that feeling of like, well, what's American? What's American? Cigarettes and Coca-Cola. Go.
Like
Sure.
Marlboro Reds, just like
Yeah.
I
these
know.
strong-ass
Barf.
cigarettes.
At least they let her have the filtered versions.
I would
Yeah,
have wanted
right?
like a Virginia Slim, like the ones that were the
Yes.
big color. Was it Capri?
That would have been
the colored ones?
fierce, fierce,
Yes,
mama. Put it
yes.
out on your fucking the bottom of your cream heel, bitch.
That's also going in our new theme song.
No, that's
Or I'm just getting a T-shirt that says that.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
going on the new merch.
That's the T-shirt.
Put it out on your cream heel, bitch. So
I think I was saying earlier today, I was talking to my boyfriend about this, and I said, you know, one of the things I really love is Eileen's casual use of hoe.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I love
Left
dropping
and
a
right.
hoe left and right. It's one of my faves.
So Harry introduces Susan to Dr. Saxon, but we're introduced to Dr. Saxon first as he's taking off a surgical cap and mask for some reason, stuffing them in a drawer with a scalpel with it.
Now, which one is Dr. Saxon? It's hard to know because every man in this movie is such an aggressive asshole.
So he's the most aggressive asshole that she's going to be stuck with for the rest of the movie.
He's the one that's like indignant for no reason.
Yeah.
Yes, that one.
Like everybody else in this movie, is a goddamn nightmare. Just another extremely intense weirdo in a hospital full of extremely intense weirdos.
Yeah.
So Dr. Harry has Dr. Saxon look at the charts, and he has a similar reaction of shock, but no one will ever tell you what's wrong with the charts.
This is when you get that real soap opera acting, though.
Yeah.
Now,
Wow.
can we talk about the x-rays? Because when they hold up the diseased x-rays,
it looks like she's got an alien inside of her.
Yeah.
she's
It does.
filled with snakes. She is
Yes.
like T to B filled with snakes. And I was like, okay, if I was in a room and had seen a doctor lift, because she sees it, and he lifts my x-ray, and suddenly I just see snakes in my body, I'd be like, can somebody talk to me right now? I need to know.
Is that normal?
Yeah.
No.
Am I okay? Because it seems as though a nest of snakes has taken hold of my innards.
Yeah.
Every time they're just like, I need to get another consultation about this. And she's just like, and so she just lights up a cigarette and waits it out again.
Another Marlboro.
Yeah. So now, while Dr. Saxon is out looking for Dr. Jacobs, Susan calls her ex's place again and learns that he's gone, leaving her daughter all by herself, which is pretty normal shit for the 80s.
And then
Absolutely. Yes.
she says, don't open the door for anybody. And the little girl sounds so disappointed when she says that.
Okay.
Like, she's just like, I guess I'll hang out by myself again.
Mom.
Dr. Saxon sends two extremely intense, menacing
But
nurses.
wait, before that, you forgot to mention that while she's on the phone, she's just sort of looking over the wall, and it's nothing but framed photographs of diseased organs and limbs.
Oh yeah. It's like she's at Crispin Glover's house.
It is.
Oh my God. Somebody gets that handsome moisturizer.
For anyone who's confused about that reference, Crispin Glover, for some reason, has a collection of diseased model eyes at his house.
Ew.
Yeah.
Wait, like in his actual home?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
You know, the only reason that isn't so bonkers to me is because you look at Guillermo del Toro, who has a fucking model of Reagan in his living room sitting and watching television with you. So like if Crispin Glover wants a fucking eyeball collection, I'm okay.
If eyes makes Crispin Glover feel good, then he should have those.
I feel like I would have a statue of Reagan in my living room watching
You
TV
absolutely
with me.
would.
Oh my God, I am
like that's like movie, iconography, but to have like a diseased eyeball just staring at you from the walls. I'm judging Crispin Glover. I really am. Or Christian Glover. Crispin Glover has been judged.
You put Reagan in the living room. When you go to the bathroom in the middle of the night and you walk through the living room,
bitch.
A nightmare. A nightmare. I would deeply regret my choices in the middle of the night. Absolutely. I feel like this thing needs to be taken outside and burned.
No regrets.
Guillermo del Toro's like, come over for a sleepover. And everybody's like, I'm cool, GDT. No thanks.
Nah, I am so jealous of his house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Can
it's
you
so
imagine?
cool.
That'd be amazing.
All right. So Dr. Saxon sends 2 extremely intense, menacing nurses for Susan, who deliver her to him.
I love them because these bitches are so intense for no reason. How did anybody get a job here?
I'm especially obsessed with that redhead who's
the
just
tall
like, calm
one?
down. Yes.
I love her.
Yeah. So
also they're beautiful. They are stunning, gorgeous women, these actresses.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Everybody's just gorgeous around here.
So she's obviously incensed by this madness, and he's insulted that she'd call these tests a mere formality since all of this is happening because she'd been promoted at work and needs some health certificate to qualify for her new insurance. He has her undress behind a partition and then immediately removes the gown so that she's nude while he takes her blood pressure and shit.
Yes.
Examinations that require you to be bare ass naked. It's just
he literally says undress.
Mm-hmm. It's just people being just being regular and normal.
Call the authorities.
Yeah, I'm no doctor, but I don't think this is part of it.
He takes the gown off of her and then puts his stethoscope in and puts the thing, the flat part on her back, which was already open from the gown being open.
You idiot.
It's like, sir, you didn't need to make me show my tits for this.
Yep.
He might as well have put that stethoscope on her nipple. I was like, this is assault. Sir?
Yeah. The only reason
it doesn't make any sense.
The only reason he's getting away with it is because he's a doctor.
Yeah.
None of this makes any sense anymore. My note says, why is any of this happening?
Yeah. This examination is so creepy, is what I wrote.
Then the dude rubs her feet, and suddenly we're in a Tarantino movie.
Fuck is that? I was like,
and later on, he's like squeezing her legs. It's like, I just don't like any of this.
No, awful.
My god, no, it's so
like earlier. The music during this scene, by the way, also crazy. It's that really mean like Friday the 13th stuff with the string slides, but there's also this kind of like meow 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 sound behind it all.
Yes,
it's sickening and weird.
Very weird.
Yeah. And also, this scene goes on and on and on.
Eventually, you just feel like you're dying.
Yeah.
This is where we're celebrating the fact that Barbi Benton is a Playboy gal. You know, they're like, we are going to feature her body, basically. Like that. It seems to be just like part of the deal with this horror movie that is starring a Playboy gal. You know what I mean?
And one of the features, the special features, like the director says something like, "Oh, it was really busy on set that day," and I was just like, "Gross, man! Come on."
Of course it was.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yep. So
this poor woman.
She was an actor in your movie. Can you not talk about her like that, or talk about anybody like that ever? Just to be safe.
So things get positively Kafka-esque in the next scene as one of the horrible nurses from before escorting Susan to a hospital room that she has to share with 3 of the most bizarre people you're going to find in an already bizarre movie.
Oh my
gosh.
Oh
God!
Oh
my God!
Yeah. So there's an old woman who clacks 2 spoons together endlessly. There's a transvestite.
Ay, Dios mío.
There's a transvestite with an overabundance of Catholic icons and shit like rosaries.
Is that supposed to be a man, or I mean, it is a man playing a woman, but is it? Are we supposed to recognize it as a man?
I don't think so. For a brief moment. Again, I did not know who the killer was until the minute he was revealed. For a brief moment, I was like, it's her. That man in a
Wow.
wig is him
Wow.
pretending to be an older, because I didn't know either. I was like, is she supposed to be an old lady, or is she supposed to be a dude dressed up as an old lady?
Way
Either
to come
way,
in hot with the transphobia, Eileen. Real cool.
or non-binary, they, them, whoever.
Or who knows? I don't. So this is a guy. His name is Jonathan Moore. His only credit on IMDb is this movie.
What
Really?
the fuck? Okay,
And-
well, so these women, I will say, were hired and told they were going to be in a comedy because that is the performance that these three people are delivering.
Yeah.
This is comedy.
Yeah, I mean, these are like the witches from Hamlet.
Yeah.
I
It is
said
the
witches from
weirdest
Macbeth.
thing.
The witches from Macbeth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that what's happening? Or like some weird prison gang?
I
At
like
one
that, but I'm
point-
going with Witches from Macbeth.
Yeah, at one point I was like, do they live here? Because
I
their
guess
beds
so.
have like their blankets that are crocheted.
That's like
and
lived
stuff.
Oh,
in.
they're in
Yes.
for the long haul here. We could
Which
spend
is-
the next 2 hours on just these three fucking characters that make no
Absolutely.
sense.
And then at one point I did see in the hallway there was just a small sign that said women's ward, and I'm like, what is this hospital? Like it's
Yeah, yeah.
So I was thinking about this today because I was like, wait, maybe it's supposed to be like, is this like a weird transphobia thing where they're like, oh, it's a mental health ward, like it's a psychiatric ward, and this person's mentally ill? And then I was like, but no, it's not. It's just a
I really
hospital.
hope that's not
You know
what
what?
it
You know what it
was.
is it's just they're just trying to be surreal. Because like,
Well,
Sure.
good. They did it.
Yeah.
Good
Success.
job.
yeah, like that's the thing
Nailed.
is there are directors who spend their entire careers like chasing this sort of inscrutable vibe, and Boaz Davidson just casually knocks it out of the park with this movie. It is
Yeah. He was like, what do you think of that, David Lynch?
Yep.
You old hack.
yeah. So there's one more woman whose whole thing is she simply stares and scowls.
Uh-huh.
Now,
Yes.
elsewhere, the killer doctor attacks a nurse who is typing up Susan's test results and substitutes them for his own. Following this, the most
Now, I wanted to stop and say, this is the only person of color in this movie.
Yes.
She's
Mhm.
also the only person who's not some fucking troglodyte monster.
Yes.
Truly-
She's just trying to do her job.
She's
just trying to do her job.
First of all, this is another point where I was like, the prop master was totally on like a bunch of acid that day because he said, you know what? Let me put a children's chemistry set all around her as she's typing her reports. B, this woman is so beautiful. She is
Oh my God, she's
so
a stunner.
beautiful. And then this
Yeah.
interaction she has with her like other friend nurse that comes in is like, hey Jackie, would you want to grab some coffee? And she's like, I just gotta finish these reports, hon. She's like, you know what, I'll bring you something. I was like, look at these lovely, kind, sweet coworkers
Right?
just being
Like
sweet.
a random
Yes.
lovely moment where you're just like,
Yeah.
I want these two to live,
Yeah.
and absolutely not.
no, they will be
Yeah.
they will be punished for their kindness.
Quickly,
Truly,
brutally
truly.
murdered.
Yeah.
And then she
Yeah.
gets killed with a broken kitchen knife that is for some reason in the hospital children's lab.
I mean,
Yep. So yeah,
I mean, it makes as much sense as anything else in this movie does.
yeah. So following this,
Yeah.
the most meaningless misdirect in the entire movie happens. Dr. Harold, who just killed this woman, but we don't know that, comes in.
Yeah, no, this part, if you're really paying attention and you know who the killer is, none of this is even possible what happens
He
here.
comes in,
Sure.
snatches them up after he just dropped them, and delivers them to Dr. Saxon. And the two of them, plus another doctor, all dramatically lit from below like it's some kind of B-movie noir, remark on the
Yeah.
symptoms, which are dire.
Yeah, they were like anacondas, right?
right. A nest of cobras.
It's
Don't
like that
you
writhing anaconda. Is it Anaconda or Anaconda 2? Where it's the writhing pit of like snake.
Yes,
And it's like,
anacondas.
that is the most terrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. That's what they're seeing.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah. So now back.
And everybody, just a reminder, She just came in to pick up her test results
Oh my God. Yes.
7 hours ago.
So
Yeah.
back in the office, when the nurse was just killed, one of her friends shows up, finds the dead body, and then runs out in a panic where she's intercepted by the killer doctor again, who murders her with a stethoscope before haphazardly dumping her corpse in one of the nearby rooms.
On a wheelchair, putting her on a wheelchair and just chucking her into a room. I was like, wow, okay.
He's like me returning the fucking grocery carts to the little pan.
Exactly. Target, take this. Shoving it into the place.
So Dr. Saxon informs Susan that the results are pretty serious and that she'll have to stick around for a few days.
Wait,
just came to get test results.
Is this the moment where she says, "Is it serious?" No. Is it serious? Yeah, it might be. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and then her
her
roommates begin like remarking on her condition as like she's not even there. They're like,
yeah, it's a real like One of Us moment where they're just like, what is happening?
Her organs are rotten,
Absolutely.
And her blood is stagnant like slime. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ!
Toil,
yeah,
burn and boil.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep. So, she bails on this horrible situation, runs into Dr. Harry, who takes her to Dr. Jacobs' office to show her files.
And he says, just be cool. This is kind of irregular. Like, what? None of this is cool, man.
Yep. So
while holding this woman hostage, you've already violated HIPAA left and right. People are getting killed here.
Yep.
You've got these 3 witches living in your hospital. Nothing makes sense.
No. So now, while they're there, they hide from a doctor in a cap and mask who pokes his head into the room. And now Dr. Harry assures her that she's fine and that someone is fucking with her. And she just has to go back to her room and chill out.
Don't you worry, baby.
Yep.
When he said that, I was like, excuse me, you're very familiar with me, Dr. Harry.
Yep.
I'm ill. There are snakes in my body. Can somebody tell me what is going on?
So now, while all this is taking place, all these hours that Susan has been stuck in the hospital from hell, her boyfriend has just been out in the car sleeping.
Toad. He would have been towed by now, guys. He's literally in the area where the fucking ambulances are supposed to park, and he's just sleeping there. He would have been towed.
No, he finally.
And does he not ever wonder where she went? Why she's been gone for 6 hours?
Yeah, he's about to. And what he ends up saying is like, it's been 2 hours. And I'm like, buddy, it's been longer than 2 hours.
And if this all happened in 2 hours.
In a movie of idiots, this is the idiot. Like, this man is a fucking idiot.
Yep.
That's why when she gets killed, like, he gets killed, she's not even really that fazed by it. She's like, well.
Yeah, I shouldn't have gotten engaged.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So he finally wakes up and he goes to see what's going on. He runs into more of the world's most intense medical professionals who are crazy rude to him.
And they're just like, she can't receive visitors. And I thought, why does everybody in this hospital know exactly what's going on with her?
Yep. So what
is happening?
Because somebody took the charts and was like, get a load of this. She got snakes up in her.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe what I saw on her x-rays.
Listen, I was a social worker for 10 years. That is exactly what is happening.
He finds Susan in her room, and the two of them make to leave. But just as they're about to get in the elevator, out walks Dr. Saxon with his nurse henchmen, who take her back to her room and direct Jack, her boyfriend, to wait on the bench outside of his office. So now, while he waits, he gets a call on the courtesy phone. The caller directs him to the 9th floor, where in the murk and fog of all the fumigation chemicals, he runs into the 3 ladies from Susan's room just wandering around the fog together.
Why are these people just wandering around like this?
A waking nightmare.
Absolutely.
Truly a scene from hell. And also, there's a whole character that I have completely neglected to mention, and it's that drunk guy from the elevator. He keeps showing up, and if anybody in this movie deserves to have been murdered, it's that he survives.
I actually have a question about that, because I'm pretty sure it's at this moment when this idiot fiance is going up the stairs. He walks into drunk hamburger man, and the dude is like super sway, but then he stands up straight, and I was like, oh, he's not drunk? He's not actually drunk in this hospital. Is that what we're establishing here? Is this the truth? Did
Or
anybody else catch this?
maybe he thought that they yelled cut and they actually read it.
He was like, I'll yell cut. I call
Yeah.
cut
I mean, I think
on this
it
set.
honestly was just another like red herring thing where they're like, he's not actually drunk.
Did anybody notice that he was
Burger
wearing a clip-on tie on his hospital gown?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, because my note says, why is he wearing a tie?
Because he's also wearing pajamas.
I know, but to me, I was just like, oh, he clipped it onto the collar of his hospital gown. What a fucking weirdo.
And I think, are they confusing a hospital with a Victorian era prison?
Oh,
What is
God.
happening?
Or like a mental ward or some shit? What is happening?
Again, it's wild.
Yeah. You know, I wonder if it has anything to do with that like Geraldo thing that was still kind of in everybody's the state school on Staten Island.
Follies stuff.
Yeah. Because it's got a lot
Is
of
that
that.
Cropsey?
Yes.
Yes.
Remember Cropsey?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's Geraldo's thing.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. So when Jack finally arrives to the room he was directed to, room 911, never forget, he finds a dramatically...
That was my exact thought when I saw that. I was like, room 911, never forget.
Never
You
forget.
tacky motherfucker.
I couldn't resist. So he finds a dramatically lit partition, and now a voice behind it, presumably emanating from the body in a wheelchair behind the partition, invites Jack to come closer, which he does for some reason.
You fucking idiot.
So
You get off on the foggy ninth floor.
Yep.
You make your way to
God.
whichever room this is. A voice from behind a curtain, a person who looks to be in a wheelchair, starts saying some weird, creepy
He's like-
shit to you, and
he's
you're
like,
like, what's that?
Does she let you touch her in her special place? I'm like, get the fuck away
No,
from
it
here.
was. It's not her.
my
It's
God.
her in all her secret places, and I thought they're not that
How
secret.
dare you.
Though.
No, I mean, we just saw
Not to
him.
this fucking doctor.
No.
Do not refer to my places as secret. Thank you.
All of them.
No, see-
all of your secret places.
All my secret.
Here's the thing. I'm usually pretty forgiving of people making dumb decisions in horror movies. People do dumb shit all the time. They make bad decisions constantly. There's no horror movies without bad decisions, but this one, there is absolutely no reason for Jack to check out whatever is happening in that room. It's just hissing and whispering all these inappropriate questions. Dude should have noped the fuck back out to the 8th floor, taken his girl, got the hell out of there. But he's going to go check.
1,000%.
He's going to go check out what that scary bullshit is that's happening over there, and he's going to pay dearly for it.
Oh, you idiot. You sweet, stupid idiot.
When he comes around to see who's behind the partition, he finds the body of one of the nurses dead, and then the killer doctor attacks him with a bone saw. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Meanwhile, back in the World War II hospital,
Susan is smoking a cigarette.
in bed.
So now, while Susan sleeps, the killer doctor delivers a big red decorative box tied with a ribbon, leaving it on the table by the bed. Now, after he leaves, Susan opens the box and makes a horrifying discovery. It's Jack's...
What's in the box?
Jack's severed head is in the box.
What's in the box?
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
Yep. She runs screaming down the hall, ends up in a room occupied by 3 thrashing men in traction, all of them wrapped up like mummies.
What the fuck? Hilarious, but also terrifying. I was like, I never need to see that again.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
I'll say this about the head in the box. You know, it's a pretty easy gag. You can tell like he's just like hiding underneath in the table, and like they've put his head through the box underneath. But I thought it looked so cute. It was like it had all this stuff around it, like beautifully decorated, and I was like, oh, I love this head in the box gag. It's nice.
Nice use of crepe paper.
This man's greatest performance right here.
Agreed,
Just him being like,
1,000.
don't move,
Yes.
open your eyes, open your mouth a little bit, and he fucking nailed.
Yep.
Nailed it.
Shoot
He
your
looked
shot,
great.
girl. You're never going to get another one. You may as well go for it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. So
You
now,
nailed it, bud.
So now she hides in the doctor's lounge and is found there by Dr. Saxon and his nurse henchmen, who take her back to her room, finding no severed head there, but a cake.
But a full ass cake. Someone has also brought her a giant full cake to the hospital where she was just going to pick up test results.
This killer either, possibly went to Safeway or Giant, or actually baked this cake for this woman.
I like the former of those. I hope he just stopped on the way.
Yeah,
just, I thought, shit, I forgot the cake. I'll make a quick stop. It's fine.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So now the nurses try to drug her with a sedative, but Susan fakes him out, takes to the halls again, where she has a near miss with the killer, who's just out there stalking the halls with a hatchet, breathing like Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks off, and she makes her way to the records room, where she spots the killer doctor smacking Dr. Saxon in the head with his hatchet. As she runs from the room screaming, snatched up by the evil nurse henchmen, who throw her on a stretcher, tie her down with restraints. And as she's thrashing around, the doctor tells the nurses that she has delirium tremens, which is a pretty petty burn.
Also, delirium tremens is a delightful beer. And I also just could not believe the moment of her hiding in the hallway behind that, whatever that hospital screen is, with her full legs on view.
Oh, yeah.
She is terrible at hiding.
Yeah.
I was like,
absolutely.
Senora, really? Behind this thing? This is what the choice is? But also when she drops her Zippo lighter and just the suspenseful overacting toes, just trying to pull that little Zippo lighter back. I was like, this movie is too fucking long.
Yes.
Fucking long.
At
and
82
this shot
minutes,
of these
this
toes,
movie is too long.
Oh my God. We get it.
Yep.
The suspense of the Zippo.
Yeah, she drops Chekhov's lighter, and then she spends 5 minutes
Yes!
Lighter.
with her foot, and we're
Absolutely.
supposed to believe he doesn't see her leg flailing out from behind.
Yes.
the
I mean,
curtain.
that Darth Vader breathing was very, very heavy. It was very
I
loud.
was concerned for the actor. I was like, sir, you're going to make yourself faint. The way he was like,
Yes.
and then like
Yes.
the mask was like,
Breath
he was
breathing.
inhaling that mask. It was like, calm down.
Yeah. So this is the part where the doctor is like, if there's any more of this, I'm going to have to obturate. And it's like,
Oh, this is
on what? What are you going to operate on?
is this when she's like,
The
"You
snake.
stupid
The snake.
nurse, stupid nurses,
That's right.
you stupid nurse."
Oh my God, yeah.
Sick
Stupid
burn.
nurses.
And she says, "This whole hospital is nuts." Yes, it is.
Yes, that's the tagline. This whole
Yes.
hospital was nuts.
Yes.
So elsewhere in the hospital, one of the evil henchmen, she's one of the nurses, is getting all up in her scrubs when down the hall comes the killer doctor holding up a sheet for some reason. And he's just coming at her. And I won't lie.
Everybody
was
loves the
creepy.
stunt queen.
I won't lie.
This was
it's
scary.
spooky. It's spooky as hell.
Yeah.
Because it has Exorcist 3 vibes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. Yes.
But also I was like, why is she panicking and screaming right now so immediately? But agreed, it was a fucking creepy thing. Like, what a creepy sight to see.
Yeah.
Because you know somebody was like, "Hey, I have an idea for a kill. It's going to be real cool." And they were like, "Sure, why not? We put
Yeah.
everything else in."
Yeah. So he
This'll work.
catches up to her, he wraps the sheet around her, and then he injects her with something blue, and she dies. Now, the doctor from before, who said he would have to operate, is getting ready for his mysterious operation when, for whatever reason, he's attacked by the doctor, who stabs him through the neck with a saw.
Ew.
Yeah. Now, with Susan now restrained and basically everybody dead, except for that horrible hamburglar from the elevator, who really should have been killed at some point, the killer doctor snatches...
Yeah, because you skipped the part where he becomes like a legit sexual predator.
Yeah, that's like right before this part, when they do that whole lighter thing.
It's real hard to go from like, isn't he like a kind of a goofy, lovable character? Like all of a sudden he's like actually going to sexually assault her. And it's like, he's not a cute character anymore.
No, actually, it's pretty consistent with the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For sure.
The killer doctor snatches Susan up on her stretcher, rolls her off to a spot where they can be alone.
And from here on out, the movie sounds like it was shot in a tin can.
Yeah. So,
Weird. Yes.
while struggling against her assailant, she pulls off the mask, revealing him to be Dr. Harry, the only normal person.
Which is apparently a big reveal.
Yeah.
Yes, it is, Dave. To some of us, we
I
were
also have
shocked.
to say,
So, yeah.
to give this movie a little bit of credit, aside from the fact that Aileen and I were like, who could it be? But this shot where he kind of, I don't know what the hospital light is called, but it's her on the stretcher and he's still in his like full doctor getup, and he moves the light to kind of shine on her and his little tray of surgical torture tools. I was like, that's a really good shot.
It is a pretty good shot.
It's really, really good. And it's used on the poster, I think, on one of the posters, I think.
It would look good if it didn't feel like, have you guys seen Sleepaway Camp?
Yes.
Yes.
And there's those insert scenes where it's like the boyfriend and the father together. And it's like, oh, these were clearly shot at another time.
In the black box.
Yes.
In the black box stage.
This would be cool if it didn't look like it was shot on like some sound stage at like a community theater where it's like, this is not a hospital. I don't know what it is.
I loved that though, that it was just like, it was like blackness and just them lit up. I thought it was very
I think it's great too. I'm with you, Johnny. I thought that was great. But also she is selling the shit out of this scene too.
Yeah.
It looks terrifying.
Great.
Yeah. And she's also sweaty and shit.
I was going to say she looks the worst, quote unquote, that she does in this movie. And there's something kind of refreshing of seeing this beautiful, gorgeous woman just finally like let her look like shit because she has been through the ringer in this piece of shit
She's been
hospital.
at this hospital all fucking day. Like that hair was bouncy for a while. And now she looks like she's been going through it.
I also want to say at one point, as she's like finally getting to hysterics where she's like, somebody just fucking tell me what's going on. And the doctor shakes her and then slaps her. I said, if at any point I'm having some sort of like upset attack and somebody expects me to calm down after they've slapped me, they have another fucking thing coming, dude. The fire that I would throw up the snakes within my body into this person's face and say, get ready to meet your maker, bitch, because nobody puts their fucking hands on me, no matter the state of hysteria I am in. Thank you. I just had to say that.
I love it. Get it. Just let it all out. Just let it all out.
Thanks.
So just as he's about to carve out her heart, Susan's 3 roommates stumble into the crime scene looking for Dr.
God
Jacob.
bless the witches.
They buy.
This is why you got to let the mangled patients just wander around, I guess.
I guess so.
They're going to stop a crime at some point.
They buy Susan.
It's just statistics.
Eventually, somebody's going to be murdering somebody in one of these hospitals.
Yeah.
Yep. So this buys Susan enough time to grab a knife off the table and stab Dr. Harry. So now there's
in the penis? Was it in the penis?
It's like lower.
It's
like lower
it's in
abdomen.
the gut.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So now there's.
I wanted it to be the penis.
Oh, that'd be great.
But she does do that thing where she like stabs him and then runs away. It's like, no, bitch, you gotta just keep
stabbing.
Going.
Yep.
Go, do it.
Yeah. So now there's some protracted cat and mouse stuff. Susan pours some sort of noxious chemical on Dr. Harry, and she runs to the roof.
And that is the foggiest room in the whole hospital.
Yes. Yeah. Then they struggle some more. She beats him with a pipe and then sets him on fire. And it's a real crappy fire effect. He looks like they smeared his coat with that shit they use on poo-poo platters. It sends him fleeing to the roof's edge, tumbling over to his death.
Wow.
Yep.
You know what? I'm going to say here at the end, I kind of enjoyed this whole shit. I was like, we're getting a little brutal here at the end. The Dr. Harry is like staggering around covered in blood. She looks great because she's all sweaty and her hair is a fucking mess. I really appreciated this at the end. I was like, I'm with you. I'm feeling it.
And it's because it's the first thing that makes any sense in this whole movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. And I was like, let's fucking have it out with these two right now. And I thought it delivered. Yep. I thought it delivered. Now what happens after this? I was like, oh.
So
okay.
Yeah, the next day
she just throws her clothes back on. She's like, well, never got my test results, but I'm out of here.
The next day, Susan is dressed again, perfect hair, makeup all good, greeted by her ex-husband and daughter, roll credits. What the fuck?
And they walk off as though she's like, well, I never really liked that other guy very much, and this one seems to have calmed down a little bit. Let's go home, everybody.
Oh my God. Roll credits. What the fuck?
I said, now she goes home and she fucking sues the hell out of this fucking hospital.
Please.
And is like, girl, get your money because you may or may not have snakes inside your body.
No, you know what happens? She goes back the next day and there's no hospital there at all.
Yes, that should have been the ending.
Why? That hospital's been closed for 30 years.
20 years.
For 25 years.
I mean, perfect.
Amazing.
Well, that's our movie. Now, usually when we wrap these things up, we talk about how a film has aged. We talk about whether it still feels relevant. Now, that just feels like a dumb question here. Because I don't know if this movie was ever relevant.
No.
No,
You know,
no.
as somebody who was surprised by our reveal, I'm gonna say maybe there's a little bit of relevance to it.
It's a deep cut even by our standards.
Yeah. I think
You
it's
know,
a
I'm
great... Go, Johnny.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's a great snapshot of 80s lifestyle in film, not only visually, but like horror movie-esque times. It's just a great little... just a little pinpoint in time of, look at this hot garbage we have. And how a lot of things in the 80s were kind of hot garbage and just a little greasy and a little weird and like out of the box. It was a time for people to experiment in different kooky things. And I think this is a really great example of that kind of genre, if you will.
That's kind of where I landed. I landed with, if nothing else, this is a good example of what happens when you rush to capitalize on a trend and you give no consideration to literally anything. Like, there were so many movies that were trying to rip off Friday the 13th around this time. And this is what it looks like when you do not pay any attention to your script, when you give it to a guy who has never even seen a horror movie before.
Sure.
Like, this is a great example of just being like, this is the, if we're talking about them on the spectrum, this is the way low end where it's just like, just get it out there, cash grab. It's a good example of that. And it is so goddamn weird. This is one of the weirdest movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, I would class this one in with like a Final Exam. Like, it's a movie it's a very cynical movie.
At least Final Exam is a coherent story.
Yeah, but what I mean by this is it's a very cynical cash grab that manages to be entertaining despite that, but for all the wrong reasons, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I love this from beginning to end. Love this movie.
Totally.
Take an edible, watch this movie. It is the best time you'll ever have.
Totally.
I mean, but this is one of the great things about this. Another reason I love horror movies. Well, first of all, I've never fucking heard of this, so this is a gem. This is a treasure. Everybody should watch this. But even movies that came out, I don't know, 10 years ago, recent-ish movies that people kind of throw away or like, that was just a cash grab. Later on, we come back to these movies and we find something to appreciate in them. Is this movie completely exploitative, offensive in certain ways? Yes, but at the same time, a treasure. Would absolutely watch this again and recommend to people. There are things to enjoy here, you know.
This movie, for me, lands in what we at our podcast call throwing it on the background of your Halloween party. It's definitely that kind of movie. Like, you can put the sound down and just be like, what? What's
have you guys
going on there?
Have you guys ever seen Home Sweet Home, the Thanksgiving slasher?
The TV movie?
I don't know if it was I think
it's a TV movie.
Low budge, starring, I want to say Lou Ferrigno, but that's not who it was.
No,
it's,
Steinfeld.
Jake Steinfeld, yes.
Yes, I think it was a TV movie from the 80s.
Really? It was TV? Wow.
I think so.
Yeah, it kind of popped up on Blu-ray recently, and it sort of showed up in the same kind of nostalgia scene as like everybody kind of discovered Blood Rage at the same time.
It's around the same era, I think. But I would call this movie like X-Ray. I mean, even like a little bit of a step above that film.
I agree with you, Johnny. It's definitely it's maybe half a step. It's just like
not a big step. The step is a little crumbly. You know, you might trip on it, but it is.
I was about to say.
Step above.
Yeah.
It goes into that category of like, you all did your absolute best, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, totally.
Now, was your best good? No.
No.
I don't think you people should be making movies, but you really put your heart into it.
But you really tried with this one.
You did, but I got to give credit to Barbi Benton. I think she delivered, and I think she is one of the main reasons to watch this film. Like, she carries it. Even though the whole time we're like, girl, just run. Like, just fucking pummel through these people and go.
She's the only one who has range. Like, she's the only one who understands that, like, if you're acting, you act like a person would act. Like, not just this weird, like, the one doctor who's just indignant the whole time for no reason.
My God.
Yeah, no. She was a solid final girl.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, Jonny, Aileen, I want to thank you guys for joining us. This has been a very entertaining examination of a really fucked up movie.
Thank you so much for having us. We had so much fun.
I
thank you for bringing this fucking crazy ass movie into our lives. I've already started telling my other horror friends, like, I don't know if you've seen this, but you must, because it's necessary, I think.
Yeah. So,
agreed.
So, where can everybody find you guys?
Well, please find us at Uy Que Horror on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm going to spell it out. That is UYQUEHORROR, horror. We are everywhere. Send us an email at uyquehorror@gmail.com if you want to talk to us. We're all over the place. We have a Patreon, Uy Que Horror, everywhere if you look for us. Please listen to our episodes. We've got over 150 episodes. We're having so much fun with more to come, more on the way. My personal...
Every other Monday.
Please. I was just every other Monday. And on Patreon, we also release really foolish videos of Aileen and I being just fucking idiots. It's a delight. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter at Jonny Elliott. That's JONNYELIOT. And
you can find me at Aileen Little Hands. AILEEN LIL, hands with a Z, because I have little hands. And literally all over all the platforms too. Awesome. I'm currently watching Fargo for the first time, the series, and my TikTok is just me like losing my shit over how Martin Freeman is a sociopath right now. So follow me on TikTok.
All right, Dave, what are we doing next?
Oh, we will be back in 2 weeks with our 1 year anniversary.
1 year!
Oh my God! Congratulations!
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. And we're going to be talking about Dawn of the Dead, one of my
favorite
movies.
Yep. Nice.
All right. So be back here in 2 weeks when we do Dawn of the Dead.